Absolutely, positively, no doubt about it. We are back and we're talking about the Guardian Angels and the founder of the Guardian Angels. You've seen him on television and now you can talk to him on the radio because the phones are wide open. 312-591-V103. Let me say it a little bit slower. Area code 312-591-V103. Curtis Sliwa in the building along with our good friend, the National Director of the Guardian Angels, who happens to be from the Chi, one of our hometowners, Mr. Miguel Fuentes. If you have questions, you have comments, call me, 312-591-V103. And later this hour, we're scheduled to get a call from Mayor Rahm Emanuel. We've got a brand new police chief here in Chicago. Technically, the term is police superintendent, but I know he was a former commander in New York City, and he had a lot of attention there. You know who I'm talking about. You've had a relationship with him in the past. Curtis Sliwa, I want you to tell me about your past association with Gary McCarthy, and have you reached out to him now that he's the boss of all bosses in Chicago?
Oh yeah, he was a rising star in the New York City Police Department, and I had actually met him where he was living at the time. They call it the Irish Riviera, Pearl River in Rockland County, in the back of his house. And all he did was talk shop to me for about 2 hours about policing, about the best way the community can work with police, how they can have the best impact. Guy's a tactician. He understands the science of policing, but also how you have to bond with the community. So he's not General Patton out there. Then he went across the Hudson River and took on a job nobody wanted, police commissioner in Newark, where they were $1 short and a day late. An exciting new mayor, Cory Booker, said, "I need you, Gary. I need that NYPD spirit," because the ranks of the Newark police were depleted. They were corrupt, they were getting indicted for excessive force, they were stealing. I mean, they were almost as criminal as the criminals that they were trying to stop. And he shaped that department up. He really created a 5-star top shelf police department. And then recently they had a layoff of about 168 cops. And the city has begun to get shaky again. Not through his efforts, it's just that Chris Christie, who you see on the national horizon as a potential Republican presidential candidate, told all the urban areas, tough noogies, you're not getting any money. We know there were no more stimulus dollars coming from the president from Washington, D.C.
I saw him say that 2 days ago on MSNBC.
Right, so Newark, which is the largest city in New Jersey, population-wise, with the most severe violent crime problems, had to go it alone. And the police director was excellent in coming up with a strategy to fill the void. And you're actually going to benefit from this guy because I have met few people in my lifetime, and I met a lot of police superintendents and police directors, some who put me into jail, some who embraced me. This guy knows his business, but he's not all of a sudden oblivious to the role that the community has to play in making the cooperative nature work. So Rahm Emanuel, your brand new mayor, right out of the box made an excellent choice, because I know you were having all kinds of drama in the police department. And all of a sudden, people sitting down, let's negotiate with gangs, let's have a peace summit, let's do this. First job is get the guns out of the hands of the gangbangers, bring peace into the community. Then if you want to do crisis intervention, put them on the couch, figure out why all the furniture is upstairs, rearranged in the wrong rooms, put them on Oprah, that's fine. But first stabilize the neighborhoods, get control. Let people see, wow, this can work. And then they'll be more cooperative instead of buying into this snitches get stitches and end up in ditches, which has been an Achilles heel to not only the police department in solving crimes and preventing crimes, but then the prosecutors, the entire criminal justice system, and even the prisons and the parole and probationary system in dealing with people who have decided to live a criminal life or have decided to pledge their allegiance not to our country or our city, but rather to some gang.
Curtis Sliwa, the founder of the Guardian Angels, in the building. Phones are open, 312-591-V103. We're also joined by Chicago's own Miguel Fuentes, who's the National Director of the Guardian Angels. One quick thing, and then I promise I'm going to come to the phones. I've said this scenario on the air, and I think it's appropriate to say it again today. I ride several train lines in this town every day. I don't ride the buses every day, but I'm on one mass transit train in one form or fashion every day, coming to work, and I've got multiple jobs, and I take the trains to the other jobs. This particular train had let me off maybe 3 blocks from my house. It was a nice summer day like it is now. I'm going to walk home. Get off the platform. Two gangbangers are beating the crap out of this poor little kid. Couldn't have been any more than 13. I got the impression that he probably was being wooed by the gang, may have been in the gang, but he was being disciplined. The perpetrator was beating him with an umbrella, savagely. As I got off the train, traffic was pulling in. The bus stop was right at a stoplight. People saw the attack, rolled up their windows, started speeding through the red light, didn't do anything. I'm thinking, come on, people. So when I saw it, my first compulsion was to just yell. And I yelled, hey, hey, and they recognized my voice just by saying, hey, hey. And the guy that was beating this poor kid, I mean, he couldn't have been 13, 14, no more than that. He was bloody, he was battered, he was sitting at the bus stop, but you could tell it was some type of discipline or retribution. And he was beating the heck out of this kid. So the kid rolls out in the street. And when I just said, hey, hey, because nobody else was doing anything, people were speeding off. Wasn't a cop around, and I didn't have a weapon. So I ran toward them and just started yelling. And the guy that was beating this kid with the umbrella could have killed him. And then he said, uh-oh, I know that voice. That's Ty from the radio. And they started running. By that time, a cop came around the corner and they started to chase them. So what I'm saying is, I don't know what possessed me to do that. I picked the guy up and then I waited for the ambulance. But I've seen things like that on the trains. This time I was getting off the train. I didn't make a citizen's arrest. I doubt if I'm capable of doing that. But just the fact that I yelled, hey, hey, and the fact that I'm on the radio, he recognized my voice. I haven't heard from that young kid since then. But I think the ambulance took care of him and it took him to the hospital. So I'm asking you, is it advisable for people in those type of situations, everyday people, to try to do something, or should I, if I were in the car, should I have rolled up the windows and sped off?
No, no, no. Never do the bird. There's always something you can do. Shout, yell, distract the individuals, go for the police, any number of things. If you're capable physically intervention. Look, you have it in your DNA. You came from St. Louis, you settled here in Chi-Town. My father grew up in the south side of Chicago with his family, 46 in Rockwell. He would tell me things. He said, look, there was the black neighborhood, there was the white neighborhood. We were the Polish people, they were the black people. We didn't get along. But you know something? Nothing went on in their neighborhood, nothing went on in our neighborhood because it never got to the police. The men in the community dealt with it, didn't put up with that nonsense. You couldn't disrespect a woman without catching a beat down yourself.
Right.
You couldn't bother the elderly people. You couldn't come upon a young teenager like that and give him a beat down in the street without maybe 10, 12 other people immediately being nosy neighbors and doing an intervention. Oftentimes, you'd look to the arrival of the police to save that individual from getting circled by the mob who was interested in giving a little street justice. Now we say, okay, that's bad. That's taking the law into your own hands. I agree. But I'd like to see a little more of that than what I recently saw more than a year ago. That high school getting out there in the south side of Chicago and these kids just like waylaying this kid, taking different shots at him, turning him into a human piñata. This went virally all over the world. People looking at it, thinking this is the way it is in Chi-Town, in Chicago. And it's not just unique to Chicago. It happens in New York, happens in Los Angeles, happens in Leave It to Beaverland now. Father Knows Best, Little House on the Prairie. We've seen these beatdowns. They put them on YouTube. They glorify, they revel in it. And that's because people put window shades on their eyes, cotton balls in their ears, and a zipper on their mouth. Old school ways. It's in your DNA. Your grandparents did it. Your great-grandparents did it. So did mine. The Good Samaritan ethic. You don't have to be religious. You can be secular. You can be a tree hugger. Kiss the Barney Stone. Doesn't matter. People would naturally intervene because it was the right thing to do. And what we've done is we've sort of cut that instinct, that primal instinct we were born with, and we've intellectualized. Oh, I might get in trouble, I might get sued, it's none of my business, I pay taxes, that's what the cops should be doing. It's all nonsense, because all we're doing is turning over our streets to the criminal element, and they get empowered. Had that guy not heard your voice and decided to book up, he'd have felt so strong, so empowered. I got it like that. I can beat somebody up in the street and nobody.
And nobody did anything.
Nobody even I fornicated him.
Yeah.
You know, they basically turned away, didn't want to make eye contact.
They fled. People were fleeing.
Yeah, they fold like cheap cameras. And you see, the criminals bank on that. Whereas criminals who know, they go into neighborhoods where people are looking at them every step of the way, just making sure that they're on the good foot and they're not looking to sort of create any drama. And that's the way it should be, checks and balances, checks and balances.
We got some calls. I could sit here and converse with Curtis Sliwa all day, but that's not what the program's about. It's about you calling us at 312-591-V103. Let's go to the phones. Vernon, good morning. You're on with Curtis Sliwa.